Hi, everyone. You are listening to Radio Cherry Bomb, and I'm your host, Kerry Diamond, coming to you from Newsstand Studios at Rockefeller Center in the heart of New York City. Today's guests are two amazing sisters, Janet and Jennifer Zuccarini. Janet is the CEO of the Gusto 54 restaurant group. She is a star restaurateur with 12 restaurants in Toronto and a handful in LA, including the popular Felix restaurant. We'll list all of Janet's places in the show notes in case you'd like to visit. Janet is also a judge on Top Chef Canada. The new season of the show just started yesterday, by the way. Good luck to all the chefs competing for the top prize. Jennifer Zuccarini is the founder and CEO of Fleur du Mal, the buzzy lingerie and ready-to-wear line worn by the likes of Dua Lipa, Doechii, and Tate McRae, just to name a few fans. Jennifer recently opened a shop in Williamsburg and is about to move her Manhattan Fleur du Mal flagship to a big new location. I can't wait for that. Jennifer and Janet grew up in Toronto, the daughters of a proud Italian immigrant and entrepreneur who hoped his daughters would take over the family business one day. Learn what happened when they decided to follow their dreams and carve their own paths, and how they wound up success stories in their respective fields. As you're about to learn, entrepreneurship clearly runs in the family. Today is the third episode in our mini-series brought to you in partnership with Destination Canada. Over the past few weeks, we've been shining a spotlight on some of our favorite Canadians. Speaking of Canada, I hope those of you who celebrated Canadian Thanksgiving this past weekend or on Monday had a wonderful holiday. Stay tuned for my conversation with Janet and Jennifer Zuccarini. Today's show is presented by Destination Canada. I first discovered Canada when I was 18 years old and going to college in upstate New York, just an hour outside of Montreal. I couldn't believe this beautiful, exciting city was so close by. I visited every chance I got. My favorite thing to do was dance at the best new wave club in town and end the night with poutine at an after-hours diner. My tastes have changed a bit since then, although I still love new wave music and poutine. And luckily, Canada has grown with me. I've returned to Montreal several times and visited Vancouver and Toronto too. Today, Canada is a place where I can find everything I want, especially when it comes to culture, connection, and authenticity in its landscapes and people. From Indigenous ceremonies to Quebecois winter carnivals and Caribbean parades to Lunar New Year celebrations, culture in Canada is as rich and diverse as its people. Each region reflects a unique blend of traditions, languages, and stories rooted in the land. One great example of this is Krista Gunther of Feast Cafe and Bistro in Winnipeg. She's an Indigenous chef bringing ancestral recipes to the table in delicious, modern ways. Canada invites you to experience its incredible culture through nature, storytelling, and community. Start planning your visit today at canadanaturally.com. A little housekeeping. Planning for our Jubilee 2026 conference in New York City is underway. It's taking place on Saturday, April 25th at the Glass House. If you've been to Jubilee in New York before, you know what an incredible day it is. Amazing speakers, food and drink, and community. This year's featured Gloria Steinem, yes, the icon herself, Caroline Chambers, Ozma Khan all the way from London, and 1,000 attendees. Jubilee is one of the biggest gatherings of women in the food and drink space in the U.S., if not the biggest, and we would love to see you there. Visit cherrybomb.com for early bird tickets and more info. If you're an official Bomb Squad member or a Substack subscriber, check your inbox for a special discount. If you're new to Jubilee, check out our Instagram feed for a taste of what Jubilee is all about. Now, let's check in with today's guests. Jennifer and Janet, welcome to Radio Cherry Bomb.
Thank you so much for having us. We're very excited.
Super
our
excited
first
to be here.
podcast together.
Which is so much fun. Have you done many interviews together?
No, weirdly we haven't.
I was trying to find them. I mean, I can see how you two support each other because I saw a lot of pictures of you, Janet, wearing Fleur du Mal.
I mean, is there anything else I should be wearing or anyone should be wearing other than Fleur du Mal?
It's nice to have a supportive sister. And do you eat in a lot of Janet's restaurants?
Oh, always. But unfortunately, there's not one in New York yet. But that's why I love going home to Toronto because Janet has 12 restaurants there. So I really only eat at her restaurants.
Amazing. I had a few. I no longer have restaurants, but just hearing 12 restaurants just makes me want to break out in a cold sweat. Oh. When Jennifer said you don't have a restaurant in New York yet, either you have really good poker face or you have no plans to open here.
I don't have any plans. It was originally in the plans before COVID hit. So it's a bit of a sore spot because I had all these great plans before COVID and then COVID turned my life upside down and the world's lives, everyone's lives upside down. So, yeah, we were going to open a Felix in New York City, which is a restaurant in Los Angeles.
This has nothing to do with, well, maybe it has to do with restaurants and a little bit of what Jennifer does, but it has nothing to do with Canada. I rewatched the final season of Sex and the City last night. It's 20 episodes.
Do you mean the original?
Yes,
the original Sex and the City.
Season 6. It dawned on me this morning, like, you two were probably leading very Sex and the City lives during that time period.
Yes.
1998 to 2004.
Right. I moved to New York in 2001 at the height of Sex and the City. I've rewatched the show, not every episode, but I love going back to the earlier seasons. Those are my favorites. But when I first moved here, it was also when Soho House had just opened. And I remember going to the rooftop at Soho House when it was like the place to be in New York. And Candace Bushnell was there at a table with champagne everywhere and a seafood platter. I don't know. There was like, she was embodying everything that Sex and the City was. And we're like, oh my God, there she is.
That was a perfect 2001 sighting.
Yes.
Yeah. And Candace Bushnell, I hope you all know, wrote Sex and the City and inspired the whole series.
Did you watch the reboot, though?
I can't even get into it. The reason I went back and watched the last season was because I was so deeply disappointed by the reboot.
Yeah, you had to regain your faith.
Mm-hmm. But I love Sarah Jessica Parker
so do I.
Love much. It kills me to say a bad word about anything she's involved in because she really is. I don't know if you two have dealt with her, but she really is the nicest human being. So, maybe not to you. Oh, wait.
No, she's amazing. No, I have a funny story.
Wait, you two were laughing. I was like, maybe that wasn't your experience. Who's going to tell it?
Do you want to tell it?
I was a finalist to be an orphan in the Broadway Annie when Sarah Jessica Parker was Annie. So I flew up from Toronto. It was such a big deal. And Jennifer came. Jennifer was 3 years old, came to New York with me, and we were at the auditions, and Sarah Jessica Parker was there, and she was in her costume dressed as Annie, and we were so excited auditioning and going to meet her. And I went up to her and I said, this is, such a thrill. And then Jennifer, who was just the most adorable 3-year-old you've ever seen with blonde curly hair, and she grabbed onto Sarah Jessica Parker's dress, and then Sarah Jessica Parker said, does she belong to you? Tell her to stop touching my dress. And so I think she became much nicer.
Well, she was like 13.
13?
Oh. Yeah. But I think I used to have this like Snoopy autograph book. So I think I had that like ready for her to sign it.
Oh my gosh. Okay. We're just going to give a moment of grace to 13-year-old Broadway star
Definitely.
SJP. Couldn't have been easy. Do you want to belt a few notes for us now?
Definitely.
Will the sun come out tomorrow?
You couldn't hit the high C.
Yeah. I faked the audition. There was a singing teacher who told me, you can't hit high C. You'll never make it anywhere. So I made it to the finals. I'm on Broadway, and then I was trying to fake the high C. And then they called me out into the middle of the stage like, Janet, can you hit a high C?
Oh, moment of truth.
Tried hard, and then exit stage left.
Did you cry, or were you a tough kid?
I mean, I was disappointed. How exciting for, a young girl from Toronto, You
couldn't be an orphan?
I was auditioning to be an orphan. I wasn't. I definitely wasn't Annie material.
Oh, okay. I thought
I wasn't even orphan material.
Oh, but I bet you know every word to every song.
Oh my God!
Oh,
yes.
I do.
Could sing the
Annie?
whole.
I could hold the whole thing.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Without question.
Janet, were you a child star up in Toronto?
I was a child actress, definitely not a star, but I did a lot of commercials. And, when I was doing commercials starting at the age of 4, there was no unions. They would work me 12 hours a day. And I quickly, got the reputation of being able to work 12-hour days and not complain. So
you were a tough 4-year-old.
You know what? It showed the work ethic, I think, back then. And I just got hired a lot. Like the kid who shuts up and works for 12 hours, like hire her. And I just did a ton of commercials and some little movies, plays.
And did your mom kind of nudge you or dad nudge you into this? Or were you that kid who was like, I want to do this?
Well, no, my mother, as a 4-year-old, she pushed us. All of us, we did a little bit of, Jennifer did a little bit. Our sister Jackie did a little bit. And I just had that quality, which is, being a ham. I definitely had the ham material, which doesn't age well. As people say, why didn't you continue being an actress? And I was like, I was just a ham. That's all I had in me.
Aged ham. This is why I'm a food person. My
ham.
brain immediately went to prosciutto.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'm a big leg of prosciutto now.
Are you a ham?
Probably not.
You're not.
No.
Okay.
That wasn't me.
And you are still a ham.
Am I still a ham?
No. Yeah. Are you?
I mean, toned down a little bit, but yeah.
Janet was like
probably.
the funny. My mom labeled us all. That's what you are.
Yeah.
They're like, Janet's the actress. She's the one with the personality.
Yeah, I was the one with the personality that,
Oh, thanks, Mom. Did she say you had no personality?
No, she didn't. But she said I was the cute one.
Aw.
You're the cute one.
And how about your other sister?
Smart one.
The smart one. We'll be right back. This Saturday, don't miss the Great Community Bake Sale, set to be New York City's largest and most impactful charity bake sale yet. Hosted by Cherry Bomb cover girl and star baker Natasha Pikowitz in collaboration with Care of Chan. The event will bring together over 100 of New York City's best bakers and pastry chefs, plus a few folks from out of state, all under one roof. Sample treats from viral bakeries like From Lucy, Elbow Bakery, Honey's, and Radio Bakery, alongside food media personalities whose baked goods you cannot get your hands on, like Sophia Rowe, Carla Lally Music, Haley Catalano, and our very own Jessie Sheehan, who hosts our baking podcast, She's My Cherry Pie. Buy as many tickets as you like. Each $10 voucher is redeemable for one baked good. Together, up to 20,000 baked goods will be sold, all to benefit 4 local nonprofits: Heart of Dinner, Make the Road New York, One Love Community Fridge, and the Teaching Kitchen at Lenox Hill Neighborhood House. Snag your tickets at Eventbrite. The link is in our show notes. Have you checked out Cherry Bomb on Substack yet? If not, click the link in our show notes or head to cherrybomb.substack.com and discover what Substack is all about. It's a media platform where you can find all your favorite writers on whatever topics you love: food, fashion, news, etc. On Cherry Bomb Substack, we've got articles from the recent issue of Cherry Bomb magazine, like our Missy Robbins and Nancy Silverton cover stories, great recipes, events news, our Friday newsletter, and more. You can sign up for free or become a monthly or annual paid subscriber, which gets you special perks, like discounts to events, including Jubilee. If you love Cherry Bomb, you'll love our Substack. I subscribe to a lot of Substacks and love the platform. Check it out and send me an email or a DM. I would love to know what you think. So your mom was from Germany, dad was from Italy. What was it like growing up? Did you have a very Canadian upbringing, whatever that means, or was it very influenced by your parents'
I would
backgrounds?
say we grew up in a very multicultural environment. Everyone I went to school with, everyone I grew up with, their parents were immigrants, pretty much everybody. So I feel like where we grew up in Toronto was not necessarily being Canadian, but Canadian in a way that it was so multicultural. I feel like growing up in Toronto at that time, people would be like, what's your background? Like that was the number one question, because no one was like, oh, I'm Canadian. I say I'm Canadian now that I'm here in New York, but I'm only there Canadian by birth.
That's so interesting. Same for you, Janet?
Yeah, very much children of immigrants. That was a certain type of upbringing that I think people related to. If you had, if you were first generation, you felt that, our father was very Italian, thick Italian accent. Our father brought the first espresso machine to Canada.
Which I cannot believe.
We have to slip that in. You're probably going to.
Your dad has had
that.
so many firsts. The first espresso machine. I mean, he could have started Starbucks. First wood-fired pizza oven.
Yeah, you did your homework. Love that.
I mean, that's pretty incredible.
Yeah, he also had the first heated patios, outdoor patios in Toronto, which is much needed.
That's amazing.
A pioneer, in 1954.
Tell me about food growing up. Who cooked? And did your dad's Italian culture prevail in the house?
Yes, because my mother was German and my father really did not like German food. Once a month or every few months, my mom would make sauerkraut and dumplings or
ribs.
And my father ribs and dumplings. And my father would always complain about it, but that would be her one. It was pretty much mostly Italian.
Did your mother learn to cook Italian?
Through my father.
Or your dad cooked?
She can cook her 10 things that she makes. And she learned, I think, all of them from our father. He was actually a good cook, but my mom would not let him cook in the kitchen, really. She was very particular about who was in the kitchen.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, but our father taught her. And yeah, our father was just an excellent cook.
What were mom's specialties? You said she had 10 things. Do you remember some of them?
Mm-hmm. My mom, she's very funny. Like, she takes a long time to prepare one thing. So growing up, sometimes we would just have like green beans and potatoes for dinner. That was it. And it would take her all day to make that. I'd go to a friend's house and they would have many dishes. And I was like, wow. I went to Linda's house and they had like salad and chicken and potatoes. And my mom would be like, how did they do that? I'm like, I don't know. But, or my mom would just make a big thing of cauliflower. But she'd mostly make steak because my father ate that like every night, pretty much.
So funny. Didn't your dad own a steakhouse?
No.
The Sidewalk Cafe was a cafe, a wood-burning pizza oven, pizzeria, then a steakhouse on the third floor.
I didn't actually know that.
I'm happy to teach you that. So you had a lot of steak.
We had steak and pasta. She would make, a great like red sauce.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Lasagna. She made a really good lasagna.
Yeah.
Ossobuco. That was one of her signature dishes.
That must have taken all day.
Yeah. That was a good one. She had
everything had to be like a one-pot meal. Yeah. And if that meant vegetables, it was going to be vegetables.
Did you two cook? Were you allowed to go in the kitchen and help?
Not at all. In our home, you did cooking on your own a little bit, Jennifer.
Yeah.
But when I was 18, I moved to Italy, and then I would start calling my mother to get some of the recipes. Like, let me get the recipe, for the red sauce, and let me start making pasta. And I started cooking at home a lot. Then I started entertaining a lot. I didn't have a lot of money when I was a university student in Rome, so I just started having friends over. Friends started to compliment me on my cooking.
Oh, that's exciting.
That's where it started, where I was like, maybe I have a little knack here.
Okay. Did any Canadian food slip its way in? No. It was Italian
at school.
Household. At school.
Yeah.
Such as?
At lunch, I would eat fries and gravy. Toronto, we don't eat poutine. It's not popular there.
What's the word? Québécois? Yeah, Québécois thing.
But, we'd eat the most unhealthy. That's what I would get at
fries
lunch.
and gravy sounds great to me right now.
Yeah, fries and gravy. That was it.
Well, you were used to the one thing at home, so it was so it wouldn't be surprising you would only have fries for lunch, right? How about you, Janet? Any Canadian things you remember?
At restaurants, I guess.
No, not Canadian. And our mother used to. This is so bad. Our mother. Just everyone would have these elegant little sandwiches, and our mother it would be very Italian style, like. Half a block of cheese and prosciutto or something, and on half a loaf of bread. And I would be so embarrassed pulling that out. You're kind of embarrassed of your culture when you're going to school. And why can't I have a nice little white bread and tuna salad like everybody else? No, I didn't. I would just take that sandwich for lunch.
I read somewhere your dad was kind of disappointed to have 3 daughters and no sons. Is that true?
That's true. I think it worked in our favor because not having sons made him very invested in us being the children that were going to take over his business. So he wanted a son to take over the family business, and he didn't get that. So he really treated us a bit more like boys in a way. He was like, you have to work. His philosophy was to be an entrepreneur. That was the only way to go. Don't work for somebody, start your own company. And really, really all he wanted in life was for us to take over the family business. That's all he wanted. That's it.
Because I was wondering if it was like nature versus nurture, but he really nurtured you to become entrepreneurs.
Mm-hmm.
And we all had to work for somebody else. Wow.
And we all had to work. I mean, from when I was 8 years old, I had to go in and work at his office, which I really hated, but I had to do it. I had no choice. I was forced to go do that.
Wow. So your dad got out of the restaurant business and opened a wholesale business, right? And started selling or leasing the
importing and distributing.
Yeah, importing espresso machines and restaurant equipment from Italy and distributing it across Canada. When we would work for him, we would be selling espresso machines to restaurants, to hotels. So I had that exposure of selling to restaurateurs, let's say.
Why did you go to Italy? Did you know you were going to come back and work for your dad?
I promised him that I would. I said, please just let me go do some, let me live in Italy. And then with the promise that if he would cover some of the costs of school, that I'd come back and work for him. But as, very young children, we would go to work. Our friends would be going up to their, what we call cottages. And it would be like the cottage country in Ontario is what the Hamptons are in New York. And my friends would be going off to their cottages and we'd be showing up and working and dealing with people. And they're like, why am I dealing with this kid? I'm selling an espresso machine. But it was all good training and work ethic. I hated it, but you look back and you appreciate it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. My parents always made me get a job. Mm-hmm. And looking back, I'm like, thank goodness, because it kind of made me who I am today. You went to Italy, though, for 8 years.
Didn't you? Yeah, I went
to... That was a long time to be away.
I did my undergrad. I traveled for 1 year. Then I lived in Milano for some time, and then I went back and I did my undergrad in business. Then I did my master's in business. So I ended up being 8 years. Any excuse to ride around in my Vespa and smoke cigarettes in the classroom.
Oh my God, I want to see those photos.
In the good old days.
The few photos. We had no social media, so I know you look back and I've only got a few photos of those times. And when did you squeeze in becoming a certified, I'm not going to say the word
Pizzaiola.
Right. Pizzaiola.
It was after I opened up my first restaurant, Nervosa.
So you had a restaurant.
It was after that, and it was, not having a consistent product. And whenever I'm, in my business thinking, how can I improve on this? And then I was like, let me learn. Like, how are you going to really teach people unless you know?
Did you go back to Italy?
Went back to
get
Italy.
Certified?
Yeah.
Wow. So, okay, you all need to know this. Janet was the first certified female pizza maker in all of Canada.
Well, yeah, in this association, which is the Associazione Verace Pizza Napoletana, it's a known program where you get certified to make like a very strictly, like all the strict rules of making a Neapolitan pizza. So I went through that, and they told me I was the first female Canadian to ever get certified there.
I believe it.
So I'm going to take that at their word,
All right, so maybe there were some other women making pizza in Canada.
Listeners, comment if you know someone who
got certified at the AZPN.
You can fact check us, folks. But that is remarkable because folks might not realize this. There's so many incredible women making pizza now, but it's still a field dominated by guys. It's like sushi. There's so few women who are like official sanctioned makers of sushi. Did you know that you were unique in that respect?
Definitely male dominated. But when you look at the pizzaioli in Italy, it's a job that nobody ever leaves. It pays very well. You will have children. Your son will work in that pizzeria, take over from you. You will retire. You will work your entire life as a pizzaiolo. And each little pizzeria in Naples, they typically will make about 300 pizzas a day. In the certification process, at the end, you go work in a pizzeria. So I was put in a pizzeria in Naples. I remember I was wearing like a Cartier watch, and I'm like and the guys in Italian going, you walk around the street wearing that watch? They're going to kill you. They're going to kill you for that watch. Take it off. I'm like, oh my gosh, okay.
Casual, making your pizza with your Cartier watch.
And then the men would come in and order a pizza, and I would have to make the pizza. And every single time, 100% of the time, they said, not by her. She's not making my pizza. So then I had to tell everyone who ordered a pizza from me, if you don't like the pizza, I will refund you. I will refund you your money. But this is the only way that I'm going to, actually get certified and get the practice. But they would just be like, not from her.
Wow. I have so many follow-up questions. How did you find someone to hire you or to go through the...
Right. So
did you have to get like an internship and go work?
Yeah, it was an internship.
Place? Uh-huh.
They placed you.
Yeah. And were they welcoming to you?
No, they just looked at me like, oh God, got a woman. Oh no. But then we had fun in the end when we got to know each other a little bit more. And then I was pretty good at making the pizza. So.
Oh my gosh, do you have like an uni or something at home now?
Yeah, I have a wood burning pizza oven called Gosney.
You have a Gosney.
Excellent brand.
Mm-hmm. What's your go-to pizza to make at home?
It's always going to be a margarita for me. I like it classic. I like a tomato sauce. I'll put buffalo mozzarella on it. Typically, I'll top it afterwards with a little prosciutto, like not cooked in the oven, and then arugula, dressed arugula. That's my order.
I love arugula on a pizza.
Yeah,
me too.
And more prosciutto, the aged ham. See?
Yeah, I mean,
the aged ham is
all
good.
Comes back to the aged ham.
So you do come back eventually, and you work for your dad. You meet these two guys, and they convince you to give them all your money and be a partner in their restaurant project, and your dad is pissed.
Yeah, exactly. I came back and, as promised, worked for my father. I just felt the hardest thing was working a 9-to-5 job, sitting in an office, yes, getting up, selling espresso machines. I was really unhappy, and I was like, I cannot do this. These guys asked me to be a partner, and really overnight I was in the restaurant business just like that, and working 16-hour days and running around. And, that made my father upset to see me work that hard, the 16-hour days, but like running around in a restaurant and talking to people. And I thought it was so much fun. I loved it. And when you connect with your passion, it just doesn't feel like work, although it can be hard work. I recognized it was very hard work, but I also loved it.
We should note you were about 30 years old, you sell your condo and you have to move back in with your parents.
Yes.
And your dad
into the one-pot meals.
And
is it green beans and potatoes, Mom? Let's go.
And your dad does not approve of what you're doing. So that had to have been kind of challenging moment for you.
Yeah, the only saving grace is I was never home. I used it just like go into my little bed, my little childhood bed, and go to sleep. And my days were 16 hours. So I knew that everyone would get over it. My father didn't speak to me for about a year and then eventually came around and we really had a heart-to-heart. And, he said, I thought I created something great for you and I didn't want to see you work so hard. It was really something coming from love. And he was also angry. He's like, who's going to take over the family business? But people have to be left alone to, discover their own path and their own happiness. And his father wanted my father to work on the farm, take over the farm. And my father left the farm, left his little town in Abruzzo to go to Rome, then to go to London, then to come to Toronto. I said, your father wanted you to work on the farm and, you left him very disappointed. And he goes, because I hate the farm. And then I said, well, I hate your business. Like, yeah, he couldn't believe it. Like, I don't like your business. I like the restaurant business.
Tell me about the Toronto restaurant. Toronto. I have to remember not to say that second T.
Did Eden Grinchpan teach you?
Well, I kind of knew that.
I like to say
I knew
the
that
second
beforehand,
T
but
personally,
yeah,
but
Eden kind of. You do. Okay.
I do. Yeah.
Okay.
I like it.
All right.
Jennifer likes to show off that she's living in New York now. You can always tell. I'm starting to say Toronto now too because LA 10 years.
Uh-oh.
See?
What was the Toronto restaurant scene like when you had your first place?
Lots of great Italian restaurants actually because of the recent immigrants. You had very authentic Italian restaurants and Jamaican restaurants, Caribbean, Chinese. It was an authentic dining scene and probably room for things, bringing a little New York vibe there. I'm not saying I brought that there, but there was room for that. Where I felt like going to LA, there was room for some more authentic, cool Italian restaurants. With Felix, we opened up and it was very popular when we opened up because I felt the gap was there where, you have more recent immigrants in Toronto. So a little bit different, less trendy, more authentic, I would say.
All right, we're going to pivot to Jennifer. You moved to Montreal to study fashion, right?
Actually,
what did you study?
I studied fine arts, art history, because I thought at that time maybe I wanted to be an art dealer.
Oh, so you didn't know early on you wanted to be a fashion designer?
I did. I knew I wanted to be a fashion designer from when I was 8 years old. I started sketching. I actually took sewing lessons. My mom got me a sewing machine. I did no other extracurricular activities. But
How did you know fashion was a thing? Like, were you buying fashion magazines?
My mom would buy a lot of magazines, so I had exposure to all the fashion magazines. And then at that time, I used to watch a lot of the fashion television shows.
Oh my God, I knew you were going to say that.
With Jeannie Becker, who we both know.
Jeannie Becker was the queen.
Yeah. I never missed that. Style with Elsa Clench.
Oh my God, we had the same Saturdays.
Yeah. Fashion File, Tim Blanks, who was also, he's Canadian and British, or he spent a lot of time in Toronto. So I watched those shows and I was like, oh my God, this is what I want to do. And I loved John Galliano and Alexander McQueen and a lot of British designers at that time. That's what it said in my third grade yearbook. I was like, I want to be a European fashion designer.
What was the Canadian fashion scene like?
There's so many talented Canadian designers, but when I was growing up, I didn't know any because I was completely influenced by Europe and the US, but especially Canada, I think, and the UK and London. Toronto and London have a certain relationship, I think, so we had a lot of influence from that. Yeah, I was like, I want to be a fashion designer. I started working in retail when I was 15. All those years, like fashion. But then I started to feel like, well, maybe I want to do something else. Like it felt almost like I wanted to think about doing something else for a minute. And I read a book about art dealers at that time. And I was like, I think I want to be an art dealer. I'm going to travel around the world, discover, this is what in my mind I thought it was, like travel around the world, discover artists, throw parties. Sounded,
I guess if you're Larry Gagosian, that's what
I was kind of thinking.
That's what it is. Well, how did you find Montreal? Did you love Montreal? It's very different from Toronto.
I loved Montreal so much. I mean, I still look back at that as really one of the highlights of my life was living there. It was so fun.
What years were you there?
I was there in 96, so 2001.
It's a fun city and
so
such a beautiful
fun.
city.
It's just it's a very cosmopolitan, small, kind of like Amsterdam, or great nightlife scene, restaurant scene, art scene. Like it's It's so fun. I mean, I wanted to leave eventually, but I had the best time there. And I started working. I knew after I was getting to the end of my degree that I wanted to go back to fashion. So I started working for a Montreal designer. And then I applied to go to FIT and moved to New York.
Our famous fashion school here. Fast forward a little, you co-found your first lingerie line called Kiki de Montparnasse. I remember, I mean, that was such a big deal. I was working in magazines then, and everybody just loved what you were doing. It was so sexy.
Thank you.
It was kind of the opposite of Victoria's Secret, which you would go on to work at. Why and how did you want to have your own lingerie line?
I think I was always thinking about starting my own brand and being in fashion, and in my head I had that singular focus. And I think I always loved lingerie. It was always something I would get excited about, because people that are into lingerie, they kind of collect it, and I don't know, there's a very strong emotional connection with that category. So I loved it, but I didn't know that's what I was going to do. Ultimately, I thought I would have a fashion brand, but everything that I did was very inspired by lingerie. And the designers I liked, brought, think about Alexander McQueen and corsetry and all of that kind of, that was always there. Jean-Paul Gaultier, which I still would love. I always had that influence. And then Kiki was the first opportunity for me to express that. And, when you do something that really resonates with you and feels like your calling, that's kind of what happened to me. It took me a while to get there, but then I was like, oh, this is my thing. Like, this is my destiny in a way, to build something in this world. And the lingerie, but also desire, that world fascinates me.
Did you sell Kiki?
It was sold after I left.
Okay.
A few years later.
And you left to go to Victoria's Secret? Is that the
yes
path?
Yeah.
How did you wind up at Victoria's Secret?
Kiki, we were 3 partners. And then at some point, one of the partners, who was my boyfriend at the time, had a falling out with the other partner. It was just kind of like a messy situation. And honestly, I wasn't that happy there either. I wanted to do something else. I wanted to start my own brand, but Victoria's Secret reached out to me through a friend. And I was like, no, I don't want to do that.
Did you have to move to Columbus?
No.
So
no.
You worked for them here in New York?
Yes, I worked for them here in New York. But I would travel to Columbus. I had to go there. There was a private plane that would fly there every day, like a bus. So we'd sometimes just go for the day for meetings, get on the plane and fly over and fly back. It was kind of amazing.
What did you do for them?
I was the design director of Intimates.
Oh, that's a big gig.
It was. I mean, there were other design directors, but I had my area that I was more on the sexier kind of.
Got it.
It was.
You were doing the sexier stuff.
I wasn't doing like the cotton underwear or anything.
I hate to say this, those are prime Epstein years when you were there.
They were, but there was zero talk of him. Yeah. Zero. That wasn't a thing.
Right. Nobody knew. I mean, nobody knew.
No. Yeah. I didn't know until after I
no
left.
one knew except all those guys who contributed to the birthday book. Those guys knew.
Oh my God. Yeah. I was just looking at that.
Ugh.
I actually didn't know about that until I left Victoria's Secret and I was starting Fleur, and someone was talking about Jeffrey Epstein, saying, that I should meet with him to be an investor in my company. I know.
Oh my God.
And they're like, oh, well, he manages all of Les Wexner's money. And I didn't actually know that while I was at Victoria's Secret. That wasn't something.
Thank God.
Yeah, no, thank God.
That didn't happen.
Thank God. It
wow.
didn't happen.
I mean, that's one of the reasons I love what you're doing and all these women who have founded their own indie, lingerie and intimates brands, because it's like, that's who I want to give my money to. I want to give it to you.
Yes.
You're like, yes, give me your money.
Yeah.
But I'm just so proud of what you've done and the other women in the category.
Thank you.
Yeah.
No, I just actually went to go look at a space on Madison, and I met with the co-op of the building. There was a very older people that have been in the building for many years, and they were like, oh, well, this is not what we were expecting. And I was like, what were you expecting? I was expecting some old guys. I was like, oh, well, here it is. This is Fleur is me.
And you've expanded the brand a lot, not just to different locations. You now have a Williamsburg location, so welcome to Brooklyn.
Thank you.
But you do, I don't know, what's the term for it, ready to wear, day wear. It's not just lingerie and intimate stuff.
We do a lot of ready to wear that's inspired by lingerie or somehow ties,
still sexy.
Sexy, yeah. Sexy, sensual, celebrating sensuality, desire. That's the way I think about it.
And what are your plans for the company? Do you think you'll sell it one day? Well, I know if you have investors, I learned that when we raised money that you have to think about your exit, which is painful.
I'm like, oh my God, you want your money back? I didn't know that.
It's like, wait, I want to run this till I drop dead. That's not an option? Yeah.
It's funny because I thought about it a certain way when I raised money. I really did think I would have it for a shorter period of time and sell it and then do something else. And now that I've invested so much into it and it's such a part of my life that now I feel, well, why do I want to run away from this thing that I've spent all these years building? And I don't want to start. If I started another brand, it wouldn't be in this space. But I do have investors, so it's something to, eventually probably there'll be some kind of transaction. But I love what I'm doing, and I'm in a growth mode, and I'm excited to continue building Fleur and getting it out there even more.
Do you think you'll open in Toronto one day?
Yeah, I think so, because actually we have a lot of customers there. It's one of our top international cities, so it's in the top 5. So,
is that because of you?
I don't think so.
Or are they just like sexy things up in Toronto? Is that your sister buying all the clothes up in Toronto?
It could be Janet's friends.
Single-handedly.
I feel like people don't know I'm Canadian. And I always feel excited. I think when you leave Canada, you're very much like, well, I'm in New York, and and you meet somebody from Toronto and you're like, well, hey, but I'm in New York now. So, and now when I meet somebody from Canada, I'm like, oh my God, I'm Canadian. And I'm so excited by it. But I feel more excited to share that I'm Canadian.
I don't know what it is, but I feel like I know so many Canadians now in New York. And I don't feel like I knew a ton of Canadians years ago. So I don't know if people were keeping it secret or there's just so much more Canadian pride now. Have you two had the opportunity to work together much? Have you collaborated?
Yeah.
I know what you do is so different.
Well, I used to work in Janet's restaurant.
You did? Which one?
You were a server.
I was a server.
Very
sometimes.
hot server.
I grew up working after retail, I worked in bars and restaurants and clubs because you made more money there. And so sometimes I would waitress at Janet's restaurant.
Was she a good waitress?
Excellent.
That was not Janet answering, just FYI.
You were excellent, and you brought a lot of men to the restaurant. Yeah, for sure. Everyone
welcome.
because you're, beautiful, sweet, great server.
Thank you.
And I was like, oh my God, if you could stay here, I was making so much more money with you there. Truly.
Janet also once was like, I need you to do me a favor. I need you to deliver a pizza to somebody. And I was like, what? I was going out somewhere. I was like, I can't, no. And you're like, I just need you to do this. It's for a very important customer. I'm like, fine. So I remember going in my car, ringing the doorbell, pizza.
Before
delivered a
Uber
pizza.
Eats, was it?
Oh yeah. Oh. I mean, wait.
No,
you didn't
I
have
know.
any delivery.
I was joking.
Yeah.
That's what. God. Yeah.
Pre-Uber Eats. Oh, you know what I wanted to ask? I said this to Eden as well. I know this is a cliche, but every Canadian I know is so nice. Mm-hmm. And you're I don't know you, but I'm assuming you're nice. So everyone tells me you're amazing. But you, I know, and you're so nice.
Thank you.
And that's not standard in the fashion industry. I mean, we know, we love fashion, but not everybody's nice.
I know. It's the one thing I don't love sometimes when I go to certain fashion events. And I'm like, I mean, I'm used to it, so I don't really think about it now.
How about hospitality? It's so interesting that you're in Toronto and LA. Mm-hmm. LA is known for great restaurants. You have some of the great ones. People can't even get into your restaurants. But LA is not really known for service and hospitality.
True.
Is Toronto?
More so. Definitely more so. And so I think when I first went to LA in 2015, I met some people in the business. And first lesson I was given is find people, find your managers, find your general manager, East Coast, New York, Chicago. And it's just more lackadaisical, I feel. If I'm going to generalize it, service is laid back, just like Californians are more laid back. And we don't want that in hospitality. I find that difference when now I'm 10 years in LA, but I go back to Toronto or New York and I'm like, wow, they're on it. Everyone's fast. Everyone's alert. And so it's a different vibe. It's a different vibe of service. So I'll try to a lot of times bring people from Toronto or get some New York energy in the restaurants in LA because you want that. You just want to be taken care of.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. We're going to run out of time soon. I was like, when I was writing all the questions, I'm like, oh my God, they're going to die when they see all the questions I sent over.
Let's go back to Annie. I think a few more minutes we should.
I know you've been on Joe Rogan. I feel like we could do a Joe Rogan and have you two on the show for 3 hours and not even scratch the surface. I'd really love for you each to come back individually because I have so many business questions for you. I really just admire what the two of you have built so much.
I mean, I admire what you've built. I'm such a fan of Cherry Bomb and everything that you've built.
That means a lot.
And you're a pleasure to talk to and you have a beautiful voice.
Oh, thanks.
That's important.
Thanks. Mm-hmm. Well, I like our little mutual admiration society here. I'm going to ask you one more question because we do have to get out of here. I haven't been to Canada in a while. Where should I go?
Well, I'm going to say come to Toronto and we'll take you on a tour of my restaurants.
Yes,
Oh my
we have
gosh.
to do
And
that.
we're going to go to like Chubby's Jamaican. We're going to go to Kin, which is Royal Thai. We're going to go to give you a feeling of backpacker Thailand at Pai, and Yorkville for some good Italian. We'll give you a
my
tour of
gosh.
the
I
restaurants.
highly recommend.
I think I need to come out for a week.
We're going to do it. We're going to do 3 restaurants a day.
How about you? Where should I go? Exactly
I'm
what
gonna say
Janet said.
Montreal. Well, I would definitely pick Toronto first because of Janet's restaurants, and I feel like Kin, the Royal Thai restaurant, I ate there this year, and it was my most memorable meal of the year. It's so special, so I love it there. But I would go to Montreal. I can get you a great list of
good.
restaurants there.
I would love that. I would love that. Well, you two are the bomb. I love that you are such like smart, sexy, supportive sisters.
It's so great that we could be here together, and we've never done a podcast together or much together. So, and we spend so much time traveling and hanging out. So this has been so much fun. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you both.
Really appreciate it.
That's it for today's show. I'll catch you all on Monday with our next episode. Thank you for listening. Our theme song is by the band Tra La La. Joseph Hazen is a studio engineer at Newsstand Studios. Our producers are Catherine Baker and Jenna Sadu. Our editorial assistant is Bridget Pittman. And our head of partnerships is Rachel Close. Thanks for listening, everybody. You're the bomb.